Hi chums, welcome back, and as ever, welcome one and all brand new subscribers. Can't believe it, I've literally just started again and it started raining. I don't know, is there some sort of conspiracy theory about wanting to bring you all the latest news? Exclusive news, of course, in the very heart of London. It's interesting this, so let me explain, because as you can now see, the former royal known as Prince Andrew, the Duke of York, has now been thoroughly wiped from the British royal family website. In his title that he's now left, you know, the Duke of York. Interesting this though, because this absolutely 100% came from none other than the direct line of His Royal Highness, the Prince of Wales, Prince William. In fact, I could go further to say that he did it himself from an excellent source. This is because he believes everything goes too slowly inside the royal domain, and you can understand that, right? You know, he knows exactly how technology works. He knows exactly what's required, more importantly, what the public want to see, and it's fast, concise movement action. And he realizes as this story evolves every 2 minutes, and you know, there's something new coming out, and now of course we've got the book, which is now being devoured of course by the mainstream media. The downside of this is, where does it really end for him? Over in Montecito though, there's another story brewing. As ever, let me explain. Morning, nice to see you. As I say, welcome one and all, and nice to have your company back here on a bit of a miserable, shall we say, London town. Yeah, I don't know what's happening right now, but apparently, you know, I know it's autumn and all that sort of stuff, but it's every 2 minutes, you know, it's not like consistent rain. It's like that, and you think, right, okay, where did this come from? You know what I'm talking about, chums. By the way, quick mention, I'll get shot, but I like to talk to you. I just recently bought some Chorley cakes, right? Chorley cakes, beautiful, delicious, whatever. What's the difference? I know between the two places, Chorley and Eccles, but what is the main difference, the ingredient wise? Because I think they both taste the same, a little bit more sugar on the Eccles cakes, both delicious with a pot of tea, let me tell you. But it's interesting, isn't it? I was talking to a friend yesterday and they said, oh no, you know, Eccles cakes are nicer, and I thought, well, I'm not so sure, but then I could eat anything, you know what I mean? I'm honest with you, cakes, I know, bit of a downfall, aren't they? Some people might say these two are a bit of a downfall. This is, of course, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, and it's turning into a shambles, really, because as you can understand right now, somebody's showing off in a sports car, right? As you can understand right now, the problem that you have for Prince William, he's trying to keep all of this together. His Majesty the King is on another state visit out in Rome, and he's desperately trying to keep all of that side of it going. And as I mentioned in a previous video, let's not forget, this is a king who's still undergoing weekly cancer treatment. So whatever your thoughts, it's not easy to carry on when you're ill. We all know that, right? You have to keep battling forward. You see, the problem that you've got now for William isn't just the fallout of Sarah Ferguson and Prince Andrew, but the damage limitation now to the British monarchy. Now, over in Montecito, you can imagine that somebody like Meghan Markle is, quite frankly, rubbing her hands alongside her husband, Prince Harry. And make no mistake, you know, these two are not really to be trusted in any level. Harry still is very complicit in his wife's actions. I mean, wouldn't it have been something if he'd have actually come out and said, you know, I think that was irresponsible of Meghan to film herself in real time going through the night times of Paris. It just, I mean, just imagine what that must be like, of course, for Prince William. You know, people forget it's his mother too, many times. Just because he doesn't utilise it and speak about it on numerous occasions, then there, you know, there goes your problem. And as I told you recently, you know, Harry, again, you know, mixed messages all the time from him, trying to reach out to his brother to congratulate him on the documentary with, of course, Apple Plus TV and Eugene Levy. And on the next, there's a picture of him, you know, kind of looking very happy, all posted on Meghan's social media. Meanwhile, ridiculously, picking up this thing where they are humanitarians. You get the picture. Humanitarians of what level, you know? I mean, they're supposed to be protecting people from social media. Suddenly she's plastered across the screens with other people's children, giving them a hug on social media. Make a lane, stick in it. This is part of the problem, of course, that William has with Meghan and Harry. The other issue that he finds absolutely deplorable, and this is where I find this quite fascinating, is that William does, like so many people around the world, think that particular stain on Meghan's character where they decided to release the infamous now baby video, baby mama video, which of course Meghan, well, you know, it just shows a whole new side, a whole new life to it, right? Well, according to an excellent source, you know, Meghan and Harry now believe that the floodgates are open on two reasons really for them. If you remember earlier this year, Meghan got caught once again not sticking to the rules. And this time around, the version really was the fact that Meghan, well, you know, yes, she'd used the HRH title in private. Now, whatever your thoughts about Prince Andrew, he's kept out of the limelight, right? He's burrowed down, and whether it's right or wrong, he hasn't exactly been an embarrassment on a day-to-day level for the British monarchy. What you have to remember with Meghan and Harry is they're consistently goading, you know, putting pressure on His Majesty the King, all of that sort of stuff. You know, you've got Meghan every 2 minutes talking about being forced to wear pantyhose, and it was dreadful that she had to do it in a short time in the monarchy. All makes the monarchy look bad. I'm not saying Andrew, you know, does not have a blemish sheet, but do you know what I mean? These things are far more difficult to manage on a day-to-day basis. Then, of course, we've got them doing their own stuff regarding, you know, what they are going to do in terms of their own media, dropping that out the moment Catherine and William are doing their own media hits. And as I pointed out in another video, you know, Harry now can utilise that stance of saying, well, you know, I did offer you the opportunity to share diaries, but you didn't want to do it. You see how this works. This again is where it's fascinating, because according to the source, both Harry and Meghan truly believe that they now can just plough ahead and utilise the titles to their own ends. There's lots of stuff in the media, let me point out, about how Harry and Meghan, and of course their children, his children should I point out, of course are going to lose their titles, that of Prince and Princess and the Duke and Duchess. You know, that's a long way off. You know, this is just pure speculation. People getting very excited by this news of, oh, look, finally. Look, you know, William, you know, won't be king for some time. And in many people's eyes, hopefully that won't be a long time. You're sort of writing off His Majesty the King. Where does King Charles sit on this? Well, there's 2 points. You have to remember monarch and father. Now, many people realise it was incredibly hard for the late Queen to do what she did to Prince Andrew. Many suspect he was her favourite son, and that was the idea that was always perpetuated, mainly by Andrew's inner circle, I might point out, speaking to the likes of Edward and indeed people close to King Charles. They all had a loving, warm relationship with both parents. But like all parents in the spotlight, they have their grievances. And over the periods of time, that has come to the fruition. You see, King Charles doesn't necessarily want to do anything else to rock the boat. He feels that, you know, there's enough drama going on behind the scenes and now making this big thing, which, you know, William, I have to say, is a bit more impetuous, and truly thinks that by moving the titles of Harry and Meghan, that will stop them. This will not stop Meghan Markle. She knows that she's always either going to have some now connection to the British monarchy, whether she has a title or not. She's known around the world, which is exactly what she wanted to do. But according to sources, what Meghan in fact is very, very thrilled about, and again I have to say allegedly, is the fraction now and friction being caused between His Majesty the King and his eldest son. And this is because, and remember, going back to the humanitarian award side of things, right? This is Meghan Markle basically saying, you know, this is why the family were a problem. You see, she delights, as many people have pointed out, in causing friction, standing back and basically saying, oh, I don't know where that came from, not my problem. You see how this works. Now, for the King and William, they have quite a good working relationship. Over the last few years, got even closer. But I would say that this is the one issue that they both argue about. And, you know, William has to remember that he's not the monarch. He can't dictate these terms. Yes, lots of people say, yeah, their titles are going to go. Yes, they will eventually. But if people actually believe that these titles are going to be wiped out within the next 9 hours or whatever, it's simply just a fallacy. That's not going anywhere. So what's Meghan Markle planning to do along with Prince Harry? Well, they feel, of course, now distraction is somewhere else, right? And so as Meghan is now trying to relaunch herself 3.10, 4. Whatever, she's now looking to see exactly how she could utilise that. Now, as many people know, when she sent out those invites, and she still uses the title of HRH, and in particular, when she went over to Paris, it was initiated that if people did want to introduce her, it should be Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Sussex, or Her Royal Highness, Meghan, Duchess of Sussex. She was very keen on that. As we then found out, you know, Meghan virtually invited herself. She got over there and it was something of a critical flop. Nobody really talks about that now. The problem that you have with Meghan is she's scattergunning all of this publicity on a daily basis and it's simply going nowhere. For Prince William and now Prince Andrew, as I told you the other day, the princesses have been called into account to him themselves. He wants to know, William, exactly what was going on behind the scenes all of these years. Why were they taken to certain events? Who did they meet? And what is their version of events? Also, and this may shock many people, apparently Prince Andrew, in the fullness of time, thinks he will have an opportunity to rectify himself with another interview. I kid you not. And what this is going to be interesting is it would be his version of events once again, but this time addressing what's gone on and what's been said in the book. You see how this works. William just wants to draw a line under all of this and feels, and this is the interesting bit for me, that the only way the family can move on should be that both the former Duke and Duchess of York now reside somewhere else, possibly somewhere else in the world, but particularly not on the Windsor estate. As you now may have noticed that, apparently Prince Andrew is financially stable. And a lot of people are saying he didn't get a lot of money from either the Queen Mother or indeed his late mother, Queen Elizabeth. That's not technically true. Both of these former family members left Prince Andrew sizable amounts of money. It's very easy for the mainstream media to print this, but I know for a fact that Prince Andrew is very much solvent in the financial stakes. So does William. Hence the reason he wants that to be drawn a line under, that they move somewhere else. And more importantly, he wants the deal with Meghan and Harry to be cemented, but on his terms. But as I pointed out, His Majesty the King has the final say on that. And that's something that delights the former royals known as the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. It's still a developing story. When I know more, you'll know more. Neil Shawn in the very heart of London.